Good morning, students. Uh, the topic for today's class is Preamble and the salient features of the Constitution. I'll be sharing the screen, and if there are any doubts, you can clarify it while I'm teaching the topic. So, Indian Constitution, as you know, is the supreme law of India. It is unique in its contents and its spirit. Uh, It lays down the basic framework that specifically demarcates the political structure, procedures, powers, fundamental rights, duties, and role of every government institution. Uh, the basic soul of the Indian Constitution is the preamble. We will be studying about it in the later part of our slide. First, we need to study how this document came into force, how it was adopted, and what are its different salient features. So moving further, so as you can see, the adoption of Indian Constitution, the Constitution was adopted uh, by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, and it came into effect on 26 January 1950. These two dates are very crucial, and they are often asked in various exams. So you need to memorize these dates, and you need to know that when what is the difference between adoption and its effect. So just remember these dates. The Constitution replaced the Government of India Act 1935 as the country's fundamental law governing the governing document, and Dominion of India became the Republic of India. Here there are two concepts. Now we have to study what is the difference between Dominion and Republic of India. So Dominion is the status that was given by Britain to its self-governing nations. So there were various nations such as even Pakistan became a dominion. So that is the concept of self-governing nations. And when the nation adopts its constitution, it becomes a Republic of India. So you need to carefully specify that what is the difference between Dominion and Republic of India. It is often asked in various exams. Moving further, we will be moving to the different salient features of the Constitution. Before that, we need to understand that how Constitution came into being and how it was adopted. There were several acts, British acts that were passed, such as Quit India Act and several acts before the Constitution of India. So these acts were crucial in the governance of the country. The governance, these acts helped the Britishers to govern the land. Such as these acts, for example, Charter Act, Indian Councils Act, or even the Pitt's India Act, helped the Britishers in governance of the country. Moving forward, we will study about it in next classes. But in this class, we will be focusing particularly on the salient features of Indian Constitution. So, without much ado, I'll be moving to my next slide. See, when we discuss about the salient features of Indian Constitution, there are several features, and they cannot be accommodated in just one slide. So I have taken a list of all the features and took this 12 major features that we will be discussing today. So, as you can see, that it is one of the lengthiest written constitution. It has been drawn from multiple sources. It is a perfect blend of rigidity and flexibility. It lays down the framework of country with a federal system, but also has a unitary bias. It adopts a parliamentary form of governance rather than going for the presidential system. There is a mixed synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. The judiciary that we have is integrity, and it is also independent. The Constitution specifically lays down the fundamental rights of every citizen, the directive principles, the state policy that the state has to follow. There are fundamental rights. There are 6 fundamental rights. or that have been laid down. There we have a secular state. We have fundamental duties. I think I have to mention fundamental duty, but by mistake the fundamental rights has been mentioned twice. So, and the most crucial feature of India's independence is universal adult franchise that we have adopted in our constitution. In coming slides, we will be studying about these features in detail. If there are any doubts, you can ask at any point of time. And there will be certain minute details that are asked in various exams that you can mention and take note of. So, moving towards the different features as we study, the first feature that I told was lengthiest written constitution. So, the constitutions across the world are classified into written that have a document, as well as or the unwritten constitution, such as the British Constitution. The Constitution of India is the lengthiest document of all of the constitution. It has 25 parts, 12 schedules, with 105 amendments and around 465 articles. We have a fixed number of articles, 395 that is. But there are certain amendments, and we now have 465 articles. But these articles are accommodated as such as part section A, section B. We will study the constitution later. But there are certain reasons for which this length of the document have to be responsive. These factors, why the document is such big, such a large, huge document, and these factors are generally asked or sometimes asked in different forms in various examinations. So, focusing on these factors, I have categorized these factors into geographical factors, historical factors, single constitution for center and states, dominance, such as the geographical factor focuses on the vastness of the country and its diversity. The historical factors is because of the influence of Government of India Act of 1935. And we have a single constitution of for center and as well as the states. Another major factor was there were so many legal authorities in the Constituent Assembly. So with this in mind, the Constituent Assembly was a group of people who were legal, who studied law, and they needed to specify every minute detail of the process that we have to adopt. So that is why these reasons were collectively worked to make that the lengthiest document written across the world, the lengthiest written constitution across the world. As we see, moving to the next feature of the Indian Constitution, it has been drawn from multiple sources. Several experts have quoted it as the patchwork of it is a beautiful patchwork. The Constitution of India has borrowed most of its provisions from the constitutions of various other countries. As you can see, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar claimed that the Constitution has been framed after the ransacking of all constitutions of India. Several features have been adopted from Irish Constitution, from British Constitution, from American way of governance, even from different Australian constitutions. We'll be studying in detail that what are the features, and because these minute details are asked in the exam, and these can be tricky sort of things. So you need to memorize that what has been adopted from where and what is the feature that entails in that in the Indian constitution. Further, the next feature, it is a perfect blend of rigidity and flexibility. Moving to this topic, as we see that there are certain provisions of Indian Constitution which can be amended by just a simple majority. And on the other hand, some provisions require special majority, and some provisions require special majority with ratification of this. There are certain categories of majority that we will be studying. such as what is simple majority and what is special majority and what is special majority with ratification of state. These have to be studied in detail because these are crucial details that have to be remembered while going for exams. Moving further, here are certain things that you have to note of, take a note of, that what are how much parts, 12 schedules or amendments that you have. These amendments keep on changing. At the latest was 1045th amendment. The latest was 126th amendment, but the number was 104. So these factors are also crucial. Moving further, I'll be moving to next slide. This entails this slide entails the next list of features, such as the federal system with unitary bias. When India became independent and we were writing our constitution, it was crucial for us that which form of system have to be adopted across the nation, and it will help us to foster a form of unity, nationhood, what we can as nationalism. So we adopted a federal system, but it also has unitary features. It was crucial to adopt unitary features because there in certain times of emergency we need a central decision-making body. We cannot have a system that the US has adopted, that different states have different constitutions. There are certain laws that are different because they have a presidential form of system. And there is a separation of power between executive and legislative branches. I know these jargons would be tough for you, but I'll make it easy in the coming classes. Every word that I'm saying has a specific background or specific history that has to be studied. And these minute details that have to be studied between sentences are crucial. That is the key to crack an exam in first attempt. The Constitution established a federal system of government, but has several features that are unitary or non-federal. Some unitary features are: we have a strong center, we have a single constitution, we have an integrated form of it. As I've already told that we have adopted a parliamentary form of government. The Constitution of India has adopted for parliamentary form of government that is based on the principle of cooperation and coordination between the legislative and executive organs. And we have not adopted a presidential form of government. And the main idea was behind that we needed a strong hold. Although the presidential form provides a strong hold, but the parliamentary form of government provides more representation. The main idea was behind. Excuse me. Moving to the next feature of the Indian Constitution, it is a perfect synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. There are two heavy words that are being used there: the parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. The concept of sovereignty is very complex and has been evolved through centuries. It has to be studied in detail, but we don't have to go into detail that much. We just need to understand what is doctrine of sovereignty, which is associated with the British Parliament, and what is judicial supremacy, that is associated with American Supreme Court. So I'll be teaching these concepts in detail in coming classes. So while to just provide a short gist, sovereignty is just a concept that we have the power to make our own decisions. So parliament is super sovereignty means that parliament has the authority to make its own independent decisions without any external influence. Moving to the next feature of Indian Constitution, we have an integrated and independent judiciary. Now, integrated judiciary means that there is a system of judiciary, that is, there is a hierarchy of courts, such as district courts, state courts, high courts, Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, and there are very different courts of such as we have district courts, and apart from that, there are also Lok Adalats. We have to study these in detail, but this concept that integrated judiciary, we don't have a separate form of judiciary. We have integrated and independent judiciary. There is no involvement of any other organ of into the organ of government into the working of the judiciary. Now, the most crucial part of the constitution that we will study is the part 3 of the constitution. And we get many questions from this. It's the fundamental rights section of the constitution. As you would be aware that we are provided with 6 fundamental rights, such as right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right of freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. These rights have to be studied in detail because these are very crucial. The article numbers and what are the details behind it, what are the exceptions to it. These have to be studied in detail, and these are very crucial for every form of competitive examination, whether it is SSC, whether you're going for UPSC, whether you are going for any bank or clerk. There are 3 to 4 questions every year from this part. And every year you would get any constitution, any question from this part. Not going further into detail because it is a subject to it might take a whole class to study fundamental rights and might take 2 classes. So I would just provide a gist, and moving to the next feature of the Indian Constitution. It is a crucial feature such as which is the directive principles of the state policy. The directive principles are meant for promoting the ideal of social and economic democracy. They are classified into socialistic, Gandhian, and liberal intellectual. There are several Gandhian values that have been adopted in the Indian Constitution, such as abolition of cow slaughter, prohibition of alcohol, and there are various. There is a list of directive principles that are guidance to the governance in various states of the country. We will be studying these in detail. Because every feature of Indian Constitution requires some time to be studied, and these have to be studied in detail. Not going much into the detail, but I just mentioned what is socialistic. Socialistic is that form of governance in which the means of production are owned by people. Although we are going for a private economy and privatization, liberalization, but the basic principle that was adopted in Awadi section of 1955 by Congress was the socialistic principle that has been transformed in coming decades. Excuse me, I'll just have some water. So, without much ado, I'll be moving to the next list of features. The fundamental duties. We have a secular state and we have a universal adult franchise. Now, what are the fundamental duties? The original constitution was not of such a structure that we could provide duties at that point of time. So the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 enlisted various duties that were adopted in the Constitution. And these duties are crucial for the proper functioning of the state. So these duties include protection of monuments, providing education to your child, and these duties are very much crucial in par with the fundamental rights that we have. If you are provided with certain rights, you also have a duty to be obligated, and the duty has to be fulfilled. The original constitution did not establish a secular state, although we never discriminated against any religion. But the word secular was mentioned in the amendment, 42nd Amendment of 1970, in the Preamble of the Indian Constitution. Moving to the next feature and the last feature that I have in my list is universal adult franchise. Now, what do you understand by universal adult franchise? Every citizen of country, irrespective of religion, caste, creed, race, place of birth, has a right to vote. Right to vote in a state legislature, right to vote in Lok Sabha. This right is very crucial for every citizen of the country, that we the people represent the state, and we the people have dominance over the government. This is the crucial feature that was provided by our constitution, that any man, any woman that has to be above age of 18 uh, has the right to vote in elections. Moving to the next slide, I will be providing a gist of preamble, because these concepts are very crucial in understanding the whole document of the Constitution of India. So, as the preamble reads, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to its all citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves to this Constitution. So, as I have read the preamble word to word, we need to understand these concepts minutely. That see, we, the word, we, the people of India. This means that we are providing we have a social contract that we are doing with the government, that we are the authority, we are the representation, we are the power that is that resolved to constitute India into a sovereign. Sovereign means that we have our own power to make decisions. The government that we are represented by has the power to make its own decision without any external influence. Socialist means that the government that we are electing will work for the welfare of the country. Where secular means that we won't discriminate on the basis of any religion. Democratic man. What do you mean by democracy? Democracy is through the people, for the people, by the people. We will elect our government on every level. We have panchayati raj system, we have state government, we have central government. The every form of representation is provided by them. We have a republic. What do you understand by republic? Republic means that the head of the state, the president of the country, would be the representation of the people. Although he is elected indirectly, but still the representation is through the people. Now, these are the forms that we will secure to the citizen. These are the things. The justice, we will provide social, economic, and political justice. The liberty of thought, every person will have liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship. Equality, we will provide equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them. What is equality of status and opportunity? That irrespective of any discrimination, every person has the right to work in one state or can move from one state to another. Fraternity is the brotherhood, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So the preamble also enlists that the day it was adopted, the 26th day of November 1949, to hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves to this constitution. These concepts are to be studied in detail, but I have provided a small gist that what the constitution is are about, what are the different salient features, and what questions can we expect in exam related to these questions, related to these concepts. There is a huge history behind the document that has to be studied, not in detail, but only minute details that would be provided. Uh, And these are the major concepts that are asked in any form of exam, whether it's any form of exam. So these have to be studied in detail. I would be ending my class here.